Hi, folks. My name's Tom Cocker. I'm the sales director at Cocker and Carr Estate Agents. If this is the first video like this that you've seen that we've put out, what we're looking to do is educate, give people information on what's happening in the Sheffield housing market. Whilst this is focusing on the postcodes S10 and S11, the principles we're seeing throughout the city. My contact details will be at the end. So if there's anything you want to know about your area, your house, feel free to get in contact with me directly. More than happy to help wherever I can. Right, let's jump into the data. So we're looking here at the properties for sale, new listing sale agreed. If we look at properties for sale, we can just see that we've got a significant increase compared to last year, and then also that 6-year average. There's a combination of two things here. You will also see that there's an increase in the new listings, but then also, and there's some data that we'll show shortly, but because some properties are taking longer to sell, then that's also contributing to just an increase in properties for sale currently. The overall thing that this is giving buyers, this is something that we have discussed before, is that it's giving buyers choice. So the main thing, again, it kind of, I'm going to sound like a broken record on this. If your property does not look like a good buy in a combination of the price, the marketing material, photography, video, floor plans, if buyers don't see value for money, and value for money doesn't mean cheap. It just means that they're giving it an expensive house. If they can see why it is expensive, then they will be interested. But if buyers don't see that, then simply they won't be interested and you'll struggle. And then you'll probably have to either look at a price reduction or whether you look at taking the property off the market and waiting for kind of the market prices to increase until it's at the figures where you need it to be. So there's more properties for sale for a combination of new listings and properties taking a little bit longer to sell. The other bit is if you compare to, if we now look at sales agreed, the sales agreed figures are good. More properties, more sales have been agreed compared to last month. One of the things to take into account when we're looking at the May 2023 figures is that we were still dealing little bit with that the infamous Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng mini budget as well. So that's why we're seeing there's just more confidence in the market. That is what that figure shows. If you compare it to the 6-year average, where that 6-year average is distorted a little bit, is we've got May 2020 and sort of some of the months where we were still in lockdowns or we're just coming out of a lockdown. So that's what we've got to take into account. So there is an element of comparing what would class now as a normal market compared to the market where we still had restrictions because of the pandemic as well. So the next bit of data that we're looking at, price changes, fall throughs and withdrawals. First thing, obviously, price changes continue to be high. They are lower than last month, but still significantly higher than that 6-year average as well. This is the bit that contributes because the reason why properties that have a price change are 20% less likely to sell. And then the other thing is they take longer to sell. So if you never need to reduce your price and you just agree to sell without a price reduction, I think this data comes from Rightmove, it takes on average 32 days. If you have to reduce your price, the average time it's taken is 112 days. So that's why properties taking longer for sale, more new stock coming on is just bumping up the supply, the availability of properties for buyers looking at the moment. So there is a significant increase, like price changes are still way higher than they should be. I think the main thing I'll probably say is, I don't know, let's assume that people have 3 estate agents out. Hopefully what estate agents should be doing is, I was giving you a figure of what they're saying in terms of a suggested asking price or whether they get some guide price it, asking prices, whatever, is if it doesn't make sense why your house is on at that price, either, or if it doesn't make sense why the estate agent is suggesting that price, either they haven't explained it very well, or it doesn't make sense and it shouldn't be on at that price. Well, obviously, things we're taking into account when we're suggesting asking prices: size of the property, size of the plot, obviously, then the garden, the location, and the condition. You should be able to look at your property compared to get against other properties on the market. If something's similar but yours is in a better condition, then you know the price should be higher than that. But if someone's suggesting that you go on at the same price as a similar property that's either bigger or in a better condition than yours, then you shouldn't be going on at that price, because when your house goes on the market, it will not look like good value. You will not get interest and you will have to reduce your price. So and don't be afraid to kind of ask questions of estate agents. Ask them if they're not showing you the properties that they're comparing yours against. then that's probably the sign of an estate agent you don't want to get involved with. So they should be going through the comparables that they looked at, and if the comparables do not make sense, there's a reason for it, because essentially they're telling you the wrong asking prices. If we then look at withdrawals, withdrawal figures, um, they're kind of still looking steady, and they're close to the 6-year average. I think what we're seeing now compared to last year, probably a slight fall, is in this market we are seeing more serious buyers, sellers. Maybe compared to last year, I mean, probably 2023 might be seen as, I mean, this is exaggeration, but the worst year of the housing as a property market for a bit of time. Ironically, property prices didn't go down that much at all. But maybe people saw last year that the market wasn't as good and they weren't going to achieve the figures they wanted, so take the property off the market, sort of continue living where they are until prices have corrected a little bit further. So withdrawal figures, we're just seeing that they've come down slightly as more serious sellers are in the market. Fall throughs are still high. We touched on this on the last video, but the overall thing is, if buyers don't feel that the deal is right for them, and that might be because there's a bit more work needed on the property than they were expecting, maybe something comes up in the legals, then essentially they won't buy the property, because mortgage rates, whilst they've stabilised, they are still higher than obviously they were a few years ago. Buyers are just a bit more sensitive. So again, it's that thing of pricing it right, but then also during a sale. If the deal doesn't feel right, they're not afraid to walk away. They're not afraid to potentially lose money on a survey they've paid for, searches they've paid for. And again, because they'll look on Rightmove or whichever website, and see that there are other properties on the market they could go buy instead. So that again is just making sure that the deal does have to be right for buyers to go through with things as well. So overall, it's a good market. It's a price sensitive market, but get things right and you'll find a buyer, no problem at all. Just some more information that kind of backs this up is, I mean, there was the figures the other day. Inflation is now at its lowest point since summer of 2021. GDP's grown by 0.6% following a couple of drops in the last couple of quarters, and then we had the announcement in the last couple of days that the Bank of England base rates paused again. Stand paused 7 times, and a reduction in the Bank of England base rates looking more likely in August. The last two meetings, no one's voting for an increase, and then the last two meetings, two people have voted for a decrease as well. Mortgage approvals have increased 6 months in a row. Property transactions have increased 4 months in a row. So it is that overall thing of the housing market is good if you price correctly and show good value. If you don't, your property is going to struggle. You'll reduce your price, and it will take on average 112 days to find a buyer. So it's just making sure, do not be afraid to kind of hold estate agents to account. Ask them good questions. I know the appointments I enjoy the most are where you're having a really good, engaging conversation with a seller, and just making sure that you've justified the figures that you're saying. So here's my contact details. Like I said, more than happy for anyone to get in contact with me directly and ask me any questions. Thank you.